Welcome back to part 2 of the anatomy of a perfect silk press. As you saw, I had my client in her plaits or her twists. I popped her into the dryer. And from last time, we talked about the reason why you want to do that after a shampoo. First of all, you put a nice leave-in in. So, I like to use Olaplex or I have several different leave-ins I use just depending on the state of the person's hair. And when you put that leave-in conditioner in and then you take them straight to the dryer, you're not really giving it a chance to soak into the hair, into that hair shaft. Okay, so I like to plait them and put them under so that that leave-in will have some time to soak in nicely. And also, if I go straight to blow drying like this, right after a shampoo, the hair is dripping wet. I've ran into some issues in the past where clients are saying, "Well, my hair still feels wet. It still feels wet. It still feels wet," and so then I'm blow drying for way longer than I need to, just because their scalp doesn't feel dry. So I like to do the plaits, pop them under the dryer for like 10 minutes or less, 8 to 10 minutes, and then that scalp gets relatively dry. The hair, though, because you did the plait or the twist, it still locks in that moisture, so it's still damp when you open it up, and then you can go in and start your blow dry process. Okay, so on the second part, I'll show you how I do my blow dry. Now I recorded this a while back, so I use a different brush now. I like to use Aveda's Denman brush over this one. It's just so much softer and it lasts me forever. So I'll make sure I have a link to that in the description box below. Everything that I used on this style, I'll have a link to it so you guys can pick it up if you want to. But as you see, like I went to the four corners and I stretched out at that root first, and then I'll go in and do the ends. And so I found, especially with the Aveda brush, it's more of a paddle brush. It covers more area a lot easier, and so that's why I switched. I actually learned about this brush when I was living in New York. Right after this recording, I moved to New York and started working in a salon there with a celebrity stylist, and she put me on to this Aveda brush, and I fell in love. So yes, that's pretty much the only thing that's different. I still use the same dryer. I love this dryer. My dryer is the Babyliss Pro. I'll also put the link there. I love this dryer because I've had dryers that get hotter and that will literally melt the bristles of your brush to the client's head. It's crazy. That one is Speed Freak by Rusk. It's very, very, very hot. But I don't use it anymore because I just kind of felt like it was counterintuitive. Like, why do I need to melt the hair to the brush? Like, we don't need to do that. If I get a nice hot dryer, it'll get me where I need to go. One thing about hair is everything is step by step. So I can't achieve the final result at the shampoo bowl, but I have to start at the shampoo bowl and work my way to the final result. And so I don't have to rush to get there. Everything is processed. I don't have to use crazy high heats and things like that. If I do each step the right way, then each step will yield its own reward. You feel me? So if I shampoo her right, then she's not greasy when she comes out of the shampoo bowl, then I blow dry her right, then I don't have to work as hard when I do the silk press. And if I silk press her right, then when I go to put her curls in, everything is shiny and beautiful. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we're doing this final section. I always save this section for last because this determines a lot with your style. First of all, if you notice how far back it's parted, that is giving you that height in the top. So I always bring that forward. A lot of people like that natural height, that little bit of lift right there in the crown of their head. So I always bring this whole section forward first. Then from here, you can ask them, what side do you want your part on? Because at this point, I've parted that section from the outer eyebrow from both sides of the outer eyebrow to the crown of their head. So if they want to go left part, they can easily. If they want to go right, they can. Or if they want to go middle, they can. The reason I do it this way is because if I part the hair and then pop them under the dryer and say, let's just say she wants a middle part, and I part it down the middle, pop her under the dryer, and then bring her out, and she says, I changed my mind. I think I want a left, or I think I actually want the right side. Then it's a little more difficult to transition over sides when that hair is already pre-parted. So that square in the middle gives you that movement and that option to be able to switch it up. And also, all of that hair going forward will bring more drama. So even if it's a middle part, it'll still bring that hair kind of more forward drama middle. And same thing with the side part. So if I did a side part from that position of blow drying all that hair forward, it gives it that more dramatic side, swoop. That swoop kind of dips and then it goes over. And so it gives such a pretty style. And it's these little things that make the difference. It doesn't seem like a huge deal, but when you notice, at the end, if you see the person has a little height, a lot of clients want that little height in the top. They want that swoop to be swooping. So these are the little changes that we make in order to achieve the look that we want in the end. So I'm going in now with a little bit of cream shine. And I mean a very, very, very little, because I always, realize you can add more later. You cannot take it away. So I just did all this work, scrubbing her, analyzing her scalp and all that stuff. I scrubbed her real good, got her hair nice and clean. It makes no sense for me to grease it back down again so that she can have fresh hair that looks like it's 3 days old. So I go in with a tiny, tiny bit. And when I say tiny, that I might mean like a pea size amount. Okay, so let's talk about this next tool I'm about to use. I'm so excited. So I found out about Andy's pressing comb a couple years ago when I first started traveling, because I was trying to carry around my stove and all the irons and the pressing comb and all that stuff, and it was just too much when you're traveling. So when I was traveling from Orlando, Dallas, Chicago, New York, and I had clients in every city, and I was just going and working. And I found that my luggage, I needed to streamline my packing. So I found this pressing comb on Amazon, and the link is down below. It is so amazing. All pressing combs are not created equal. All electric pressing combs are not created equal. The thing I love about the Andy's pressing comb is the fact that it's weighted. So it's not, the plate itself is not plastic. It's not whatever the plastic is that can get hot. It's actually metal, and so it's weighted, and it feels more real in my hand. Whereas I picked up another pressing comb when I was out of town. I had burnt my other one out. I burnt my Andy's out, and because I had it for a few years, and so I had to just grab something at a beauty supply store. So I grabbed one, and man, that thing was hollow and light. And you would think, oh, well, you don't want carpal tunnel, but no, it's not heavy. It's not weighted like I'm lifting weights. But you'll know what I'm saying when you touch it. It feels like a pressing comb. It has that little bit of that authentic vibe to it, if I can say. I don't know if that's even the right wording, but pick it up. It's amazing. I love it. And it's the best out of all the ones I've tried. I probably have purchased like 2 others because they were sold out on Amazon at one point. And so I had to grab a different one. And out of all of the ones that I've had, this one is by far my favorite. So how I like to do my silk presses is I go in and I hit that root first with the pressing comb, and then I'll go in and flat iron the entire hair strand. Some people say, you should press all the way to the end and then flat iron it. But the reason I don't is because, one, the area near the scalp, that's your hot strand, right? And so in cosmetology terms, the hot strand is basically the strands closest to your scalp that will process your color the fastest, because it's natural heat coming off of your scalp. And so what I like to do is I like to hit that with double heat, because typically when the hair starts to revert, it starts there, because like we said, there's natural heat coming off your scalp. So if you sweat, that's why when you're at the gym, if you have a silk press, throw it in a ponytail, because that hair that's hanging on the ends won't typically go back as fast as what's happening around your scalp area. On some clients with like 4C hair, different texture hair, if in the beginning of my process between shampoo, blow dry, if I didn't get that hair smooth enough in the blow dry process, or their ends are really, really bad, I will go further down with my pressing comb on that hair shaft. I'll go all the way to the end. But like her texture hair, she needed a little trim, but it wasn't bad. Another thing that's super important is don't take thick sections. This part, you don't take thick sections. You take, medium, small sections, because that's going to be a game changer for you. When you go back in to curl it, you can take bigger sections because the hair is already straight. But if you're wanting to really silk press and see that each section is silked out nicely, then you definitely want to take smaller sections. You can kind of see the size of the section that I have here. So let's talk about parting for a second. If you noticed, I parted her from ear to ear, and that front section is pretty much clipped off and away. So I'm not even dealing with those sides or the front at all. I'm only dealing with this back section. And the reason why is, for me, when I started out, it was a timing issue for me. I wanted to take on the heavier load first and then do what I thought was easy, because I would have clients in my chair and they'd say, well, how long am I going to be? And so I knew that I was 15 minutes away or less from finishing if the back was done. So I started timing myself by getting that larger section out of the way first, and then working on those two sides, which were super easy to me. And so, so I part that hair away from the face, top of the ear to the top of the ear, and I clip each side away, and then I just focus on that back, which on most clients is usually the thickest portion of the hair. So I'm currently at this salon in Chicago, my sister's salon in Flossmoor, Glow Salon and Spa. And the flat iron that I'm using, I actually stole it from her. So she let me use it, and I have just never given it back. But it's also a Babyliss Pro. She said she didn't like it, but one man's trash is another man's treasure. So I borrowed it from her, and I just never returned it because I actually like it. Okay, so we're curling it up. And like I said, remember I said we take bigger chunks now. So you'll notice the difference in that. You see that big chunk of hair I have right there, as opposed to before when I was taking thinner sections. Well, now I don't need to, because the hair is already straight. Now I'm just going in to curl it. My heat is lower, so I'm not using the same silk press heat that I was using before. Turned it down, and now I'm going in with some curls. And I'll link the spray that I'm using. I'm using an aerosol spray. Sometimes, depending on the client, I'll use a spritz, which is a little more wet, a little heavier. But, she has a softer texture hair. And so I wanted her to have that light, airy kind of feel. And so I used an aerosol on her, and I'll link it down below in the description box. But I'm just going in and I'm putting some curls in, same direction, not, multiple directions. Because that's not the look that we're going for. So all the curls I'm wrapping them the same way. So here I typically have two hands and I do my comb out that way, but I had to wing it with the one hand because I lost my recorder, my little young lady who was helping me. But you can kind of see the body and the movement. You can even see the flecks of shine. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And she hasn't had a silk press in a very long time. So it turned out really, really pretty. And I believe she was really happy with the results. You like it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's pretty. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something valuable today and be blessed. Bye.